Setup here. I feel like I'm on the Joe Rogan show or something.
No, it's not quite that. All right, guys, welcome to Wired Wattsmart. Today's episode, I have my friend Doug Grandstrand in the studio. This is our brand new setup. It's still kind of a work in progress, but it is quite the upgrade from sitting at the desk with my last guest. So, my friend Doug here, he owns a local bar and restaurant, Bill's Place. We've done a lot of projects with him over the last 7-8 years. We've done a lot of work in his buildings. Super interesting guy, man. Every time I have conversations with him, they just turn into like really meaningful, in-depth conversations. And so I wanted to have him on the pod here so local people can get to meet him and know his story. So this is my friend Doug. Introduce yourself, man.
Hi, I'm Doug Grandstrand, born and raised here in the Yakima Valley, and the current owner of Bill's Place, a bar that was established in 1933, right when Prohibition ended, and have been doing that for the last 16 years now. And previously, I worked at Shields Bag and Printing. I managed a bunch of different departments for them. I went in and fixed problems with them, ran their IT department, pre-press, HR, training, a bunch of other smaller functions than that. So that's my life story. I'm married. Um, I have 3 kids from a previous marriage that are all successful business people in different communities, and 5 grandkids. So we're busy. We have a lot of things going on.
Right on, man. So when you were at Shields, did you retire from Shields before you bought Bill's?
I did. I retired in 2010. I'd been there 34 years, and they were changing a lot of directions and trying to become more efficient, which that was one of the things I actually worked on. There was efficiency projects. And so this came along about the same time, and I decided I couldn't do both. So I retired and took over the bar business.
Yeah. So when you decided to get into the bar business, the previous owner, was he selling, or like what did that whole, like, how did that transpire?
Well, it actually started out. My wife owned Beach Bums, which is a tanning salon. It was out behind Fred Meyer's on 40th, and I was looking for a building to actually put a second location in that would be closer to the downtown area for the lunch hour crowd. And walked into Bill's Place because they had a big for sale sign in the window. And I sat down with Gary and we talked for probably an hour. Interesting guy, just amazing. He's one of the godfathers of the bar business in Yakima. And decided I wanted to get into the bar business. So I bought it and kept it as a bar and been doing that ever since.
Yeah, right on, man. So, I know that building was in pretty rough shape when you got it, right?
It was in really rough shape. It was definitely a classic a low maintenance dive bar.
Yeah, it was like your local dive bar, right? Like for
Definitely.
years. I think the first time I met you was looking at a project there for you. And since then we've done all kinds of work there. We've replaced multiple panels, several lighting jobs. We wired that outdoor sitting area that you have. Um, you guys have done a lot with the building down there.
I think you probably put in about 5 miles of conduit and wire in that place. And the insurance company loves that because they love seeing a bunch of new surface mounted conduit. That means that the wiring's being upgraded. Uh, when we bought it, it had a 200 amp panel, and we now have 200 amp panels and probably need another 200 amp panel. We've replaced all the appliances several times. We built a brand new kitchen. When we got shut down during COVID, we we decided to take it upon ourselves to keep our entire crew working, and we completely gutted the interior and rebuilt it and did a bunch of projects in there. And it's really amazing how a bunch of bartenders and cooks can convert into that kind of a activity. And really, they did a great job. We had a great time doing it. It was fun.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So that's one of the things that I was going to ask you about. How did How did COVID kind of reshape how you guys do business? I know it really put a hurting on a lot of restaurants.
It it actually we sat down. We had a meeting on Sunday night, and we were talking about the fact that we felt that there was going to be a shutdown order from the health department soon. And as we were talking about this, and kind of trying to figure out some steps to take, uh, my son turned to me and said they just sent out the notice that we're closed. And so I sent everyone home until Wednesday. Said, come back Wednesday, I'll have an answer for you. And I sat down and looked at everything we had done for the past, 5 years, 10 years, and decided that we needed to up our game. We needed to redo the bar, make it much friendlier atmosphere inside, not just a classic, low key dive bar, but really pick that up. We wanted a new kitchen that would allow us to do much better food. We actually brought in a chef to plan all the meals and take care of that end of the deal. And we gutted it. We tore out the bar, we tore out all the plumbing and everything. We redid the beer cooler so we went from 12 beers on tap, I think, to 28 faucets. We just did a lot of things, and it really, really has helped us. We are one of the few, I think, bar restaurants in town that has continued to see growth since COVID, just year after year. So it was well worth it. It was a great guess on my part.
Yeah, that's impressive, man, to come out of that and still have some upswing in trajectory there for the business. I know that time period was rough on a lot of businesses in general and everybody in general. But I'm glad you guys were able to make it through it, and it sounds like that's how you were able to do all the upgrades and all the the upfitting of the bar, because it's a classy place when you go in there, man. It's a great environment. Everybody's pretty chill. The food's always on point. I think on Wednesdays, I drive by there every Wednesday, and I avoid it on Wednesdays because it's so busy. What is that about your guys' Wednesdays that is so busy?
Well, Gary had started this eons ago, and I know the story goes back a long time because the Wimpy Burger is actually a takeoff from the Wimpy Burger on the Popeye cartoon series. In fact, Gary actually got a letter from the owner of the Popeyes copyright, whatever, and that told him to cease and desist using their name. So he added a H to it, which I removed when I bought the place because about that time, their copyright had expired, so we were able to get away with it. And we still have a painting out in the back room of Wimpy standing there with a plate full of hamburgers, and the line, "I'll take a hamburger on Monday and pay you on Tuesday," something like that. And so we have this Wimpy Burger deal, and it's a complete quarter pound hamburger with all the veggies and a side of fries for $8 now, and I think that's just one of the best deals in town. And we do around 200 of those on a Wednesday, so it's pretty chaotic in the kitchen. We have two guys back there that are cooking as fast as they can you know for half the shift, and then another two guys jump in and finish it off. But it's been quite successful, so we'd like to do that. We'd like to duplicate that every day.
Right. So how many total employees do you guys have down there?
We have 16 right now, and it's really a tight knit crew. I had a guy in this morning who was cleaning the taps. He comes in every 2 weeks and flushes them and runs a disinfectant through them and stuff. And he commented to me how while he's doing this, the whole crew's running around getting ready. I've got three guys in the kitchen that are slicing and dicing and prepping soups and getting other things ready and cooking us breakfast. By the way, I don't think that was part of the deal, but we cook breakfast almost every morning. And then the bartenders are, they're getting the ice machine ready and they're getting all this other stuff set up, condiments and stuff for the day. And he was commenting about the constant chatter going on between them all and how they're picking on each other and having a great time. And it really is. It's a fun crew. They've been there at least 2 to 3 years average minimum, and some of them 10, 12 years. And it's a great place to work. It's fairly low key management style, and they do really well.
That's awesome, man. That's good to hear. So what would you say is the hardest part about running the bar slash restaurant? Like, what's the hardest part about being in that industry?
It's it's just the only thing about the bar change that is a constant is the fact that it changes uh, every day. There's always new products. We have a constant stream of salespeople coming in that want us to taste a new beer or try a new bourbon. Those are terrible things to have to do every day, but we take it upon ourselves to handle that. And e- it's just the food's changing, the customer tastes are changing, the music scene is changing. It's constant. You can never say, wow, we did something great here. Let's stop. We even question the Wimpy burger. Are we doing it right? Should we try doing this instead? It's just constantly soul searching and trying to come up with better things to do. And we have a crowd that comes in because they know that every day we have a special that we've never had on the menu before. We do all kinds of things differently, and they look forward to seeing that. Our soups are, it's just, it's something that our cooks and the chef are really, really good at is making homemade soups. And the amount of variety of soups out there must be endless because we constantly got fresh soups on.
Yeah, so what do you guys do, to kind of go after all the different age groups, right? Like, you have the guys that are just turning 21, and then I'm sure you have the local guys that have been coming in for lots of years, and they grab the same bar stool. Like do you guys try to target everybody? Is there a certain demographic that you guys go for more, or what does that look like for you guys?
Interestingly enough, when we started out, and I think probably after about, I suppose it was probably about 3 or 4 years into the project that we were starting to bring in live music. We were trying the live music scene. We were switching the demographic to much younger group. We had all kinds of uh, cheaper items on the menu that were just grab and go kind of, food items that were easy to eat while you're standing around talking with friends and stuff. But since COVID, it's really, really shifted to a much older demographic, and we don't see that anymore. In fact, we close between 11 and midnight every night just to kind of discourage that late night drinking that you see that causes most of the problems in the bar industry. So which has really been helpful for us with the LCB. So, um, it, it, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I know that the people that we have working there are very, very respectful. They're very good with their service. They're happy, and customers see that, and so they like to take advantage of that. On like Wednesday afternoons, Wimpy Day, we have an entire group. There could be 25 or 30 men and women living in assisted living centers that come into Bill's place and just take up the whole. We have a back room, kind of a banquet room. They take up the whole thing and have a great time. So I'm not sure what actually made that change, but we're appreciating it.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I mean, I'll kind of segue into this next question. So with that being said, are you seeing younger people drinking less, like these days, like this next generation coming up? Is that a thing? I hear other owners kind of talk about that. Like, what's your take on that?
Um, I think that's totally true. There are some venues in Yakima that I do frequent that have a younger crowd, but they're drinking more seltzers and the sparkling water kind of alcohol drinks. Plus, there's been a huge interest and shift into non-alcoholic cocktails, mocktails, if you want to call them that. And I think the fact that marijuana is legal in Washington State, that's had a really big impact on bars. And I know a lot of bars, especially like in the Seattle area, have just gone out of business because they can't do the volume they need to do to pay for the higher price leases they have over there.
Yeah, that was actually my next question was to ask you if you thought that the marijuana legalization had an impact on the bar industry.
It had to be huge. I mean, I know that uh, all of the distributors in town that sell beer and stuff and Hard A are really, really down on their numbers, especially this year. I think, I would say 2025, it's really been down. But no one, I seriously don't think the industry is ever going to be at their pre-COVID days ever again. You're just literally fighting with other bars in town, competing with them to take a smaller and smaller amount of business away from them and keep it with you, which we've done a pretty successful job of. So we're kind of proud of that fact.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I was gonna get your opinion on, it kind of ties into the last couple of questions, but I know, 10 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, the big craze was the craft beers, right? Like everybody was into, the heavy IPAs, and I mean, I still enjoy a nice IPA, but have you seen have you seen that kind of go away in lieu of like the seltzers and the more healthier options?
Um, well, I don't think that the seltzers are what I would call a healthier option. They're another taste option, but they still have alcohol in them. Uh, I think what you're saying is that because when you make a real heavy IPA, which I totally love, the alcohol content has to go up to between 6 and 8%, or it has had to go up between 6 and 8%. And people are wanting to drink more of the 4 to 5% beers because they can drink more of them without being, getting inebriated. And it has kind of put a little bit of a dampener on really the super hoppy IPAs, but IPAs are still the most popular beer style out there. Um, I think that when you look at the hop industry, they're still really, really investing in new hop varieties that are going to be hop forward for IPAs, but I'm not sure how that's going to end up turning out.
Interesting. So I mean, since you kind of have a pulse on the hop, I mean, would you say you have a little bit of a pulse on the hop industry here?
I do.
So, what does that industry look like right now? Is it down? I mean, I've heard a lot of local business people kind of say hops has been down for the last few years. Like, can you speak on that?
Um, I think from my perspective that they've had inventory issues. There's been a lot of overproduction, and it's not that it was overproduction. It's been overproduction since COVID, since we got shut down, and they haven't recovered from that. I'm not sure that they ever will. It's just that they started carrying inventory over, and once you're hitting about 2 years worth of inventory, then something has to give, and so they started pulling. They actually started idling their fields, so they weren't raising. We're not raising nearly the amount of hop acreage that we were in 2019, and they're going to have to find some other thing to do because it's definitely not anywhere near what it was in 2019 pre-COVID, and it's not going to be there again. I don't feel.
And so you feel like they overproduced, and then couple that with people drinking less nationwide, because that's a thing, right? Like when you look at the numbers, like that's a nationwide thing,
It is.
that industry is down, and so you have a couple of things that play into that. There's been some overproduction, and then people are drinking less, so there's less beer being made, and that, I mean, that's a big deal for our area, right? Because the hops are a big part of our industry.
It's And then when you add in the fact that the wine industry is just in free fall right now, it's just getting destroyed. And it's just that this new generation, or maybe two generations, just aren't they're not drinking. They're choosing to to find other ways to have fun and enjoy themselves. And the wine industry's down, the beer industry's down. Uh, so you take the hop industry and the grape industry, wine and the vineyards and all that, and you're talking, I mean, that's got to be close to $1 billion a year in revenue that's in sales that's coming into the Yakima Valley, and it goes to the tractor companies, it goes to the machine shops, it goes to bars like mine. A lot of those guys, come in once in a while and enjoy a beverage. It goes into just groceries and the amount of manpower that it takes to be in that farm business, that industry, and those people aren't here anymore, and so it's a huge hit on the Yakima Valley. It's definitely going to continue to impact us.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. And it's interesting to get perspective from somebody who has a little tighter pulse on things, because I mean that's something, hops. It's something that ties directly into your business. Yeah, man, it's super interesting to me how all these things work, and it does affect my business too, because there's less if there's less money and people are doing less projects, there's less housing being built, there's kind of less everything, right? And so everybody kind of starts to feel that at some level.
I think we're starting to. I think that over the next 20 years, Yakima is going to start turning into a retirement community. Um, when you look around the United States as a whole, and you look at the amount of problems weather related that we're seeing in California, in the on the East Coast, clear down through Florida, in the Midwest, in the Rocky Mountains, Yakima is kind of in this zone all by itself, and it's just amazing how good our weather is comparatively to other areas of the country. So it that's going to start happening, and that is going to generate income of its own that probably is going to offset the loss of farming uh, income. But again, it's right now there is no business that is currently open in Yakima that doesn't see some impact on their business from the loss of the farming income that we're seeing.
Absolutely. And another industry that you hear people talk about that is down is apples, right? I mean, that's kind of the heartbeat of this valley. And I think we're on the second year of things not being so great for those guys. I mean, I want to get somebody on the show that is directly in that industry to really dive into that. But I mean, you have a pulse on things, man. Like what are your thoughts on that industry being down?
So this is interesting because when I walked in to Bill's place in 2010, and Gary had had it for sale for I think 2 or 3 years at that point. Uh, and he was taking me through the whole business. He had a bank bag sitting next to his cash register that had 30 or $40,000 in it, cash. And he was cashing checks for Del Monte, which is just down the street from us on Walnut. It's, I think, Walnut and First Avenue, somewhere like that, is the huge Del Monte packing plant. And they would all come in, get their checks cashed, buy a beer, buy a wimpy burger or whatever. And that was a pretty big source of his income throughout the week, because a lot of people would come in for lunch or they'd come in after work. And when Del Monte shut down, and of course we can't do that anymore with all the new laws and stuff. If I was cashing third party checks, that they would shut me down. But but when Del Monte shut down, and it was not a long-term plan, it was almost just overnight that Del Monte shut their plant down on Walnut there. Uh, no more pears got picked. No pears got picked that year because they had no place to take their pears. There was no market for pears other than the canned food market. Peaches were devastated. It's just the loss from that business was huge, and that's never coming back. It's gone. And I don't know. That's just another piece of that puzzle that's continuing to cause problems for the Yakima Valley.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. Because I know so Del Monte shut down. I know there's been several big plants in the lower valley that have shut down the last couple of years. And so, yeah, man, it will be interesting to see like how some of these things play out in the next 10 years and to see just kind of see what happens with some of these industries, right?
Yeah, because shipping is such a big thing, and it's getting to the point where global shipping is relatively inexpensive because of the size of the ships that they're using, for one thing. Um, you've got huge influx of apple juice from Brazil and from China, even, and all over that are competing against what we're growing here. I mean, Yakima was the fruit bowl of the nation when I was a kid back
Yeah.
in the 60s, and we were the apple kings of the world. And that's we're still innovative enough that we have new varieties out that the market demands and pays top dollar for, which is great. But the mainstay, the juice apples and stuff, I'm just curious to see what happens to Treetop in the future if they continue to see their market share erode with foreign products. So
Yeah. I guess time will tell.
time will tell.
Yeah. Well, I think that's enough of the doom and gloom. But I mean, it's an interesting topic, man, that like I think about a lot, cuz if these things slow down, there's less money in the valley, people are spending less money. I mean, people aren't building as much. So, I mean, and those are the things that affect my business and my employees, so I try to keep a tight pulse on that. And I do that by having these conversations with people. I mean, I'm always talking to industry guys about, hey, so what are your thoughts on these things? And it's interesting to get different different opinions and different views from different people. But it's more and more kind of the same conversation that yeah, we are in a decline and we don't know what it looks like in 5 years. Like there's just this level of uncertainty.
Yeah, I think there's some really big positives too, but I'm just not sure how many people are looking ahead to that and planning for it and trying to justify their investments to gain that. And that would be, you look back, what is it, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, that Suncadia started up around Cle Elum, between Cle Elum and Roslyn, and it just turned into this. It's turned into this really high end, almost a resort area for the whole coastal region. Seattle comes over, Everett, people from that area, and a lot of money. They bring a lot of money to that, and then a little while later, that trickled down to Cle Elum, and it's hard to find property in Cle Elum now that the property values have gone way up. It's kind of a gentrification of a classic old mining town,
Yeah.
and it's hard to see. I mean, it's hard to take for the people, some of the people there, but it's really cool to see that. And now that's all the way down to Ellensburg. People are buying up land in Ellensburg and building houses, and it's our weather's nicer. It's a much more laid back type of feel compared to anywhere in the Seattle area, and it's trickling down into Yakima now, and there are going to be a lot of job openings for that. I think Boeing is going to have to start looking at our area for more manufacturing, and a lot of this farm labor is just going to transition into that kind of stuff. I feel that's something that's just a given, and anyone that can be an electrician or a plumber or work with their hands or a machinist. The machinists in town make really good money, and they're making parts for companies in Seattle quite a bit.
Yeah, 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 exactly. There are a lot of good manufacturing jobs around here for sure.
And I mean, we're transitioning from, I, I, I think we're always going to be a farm community, but we're transitioning to a point where there are other really big additional companies that are gonna take a share of that labor. So that's cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. That is really cool. So let's talk about something that both of us are really passionate about. Let's talk about your real estate stuff, man. Like you, I've worked on a lot of your rentals. Like it's something that you and your wife are into. How did you guys get into buying and flipping houses and stuff like that?
Well, first of all, I need to start buying real estate property that I don't have to rebuild it. I need so much of your service on, but um, my wife has always been passionate about real estate, and I actually had an uncle who was quite well known in the Yakima Valley for his real estate firm, and so we decided to jump in, and she had retired from Shields, and uh, I had retired from Shields, and we both had a fair amount of money in our 401k plans there, and so we combined that, and we bought a building on Yakima Avenue. It's out at 912. It's the old Lally Chiropractic building, and it had a lot of issues, but so do a lot of buildings. And so we've used you. We've brought in plumbers. We've uh, fixed all the need to fix things, and now we're looking ahead, planning to how to convert it into some high end apartments and that sort of thing. And then uh, we were driving by just down the street from Bill's place, and Joe Park Construction was just putting a sign out. Literally, Joe Park was dragging a sign out to put on the street that he was selling his business, and we just pulled in and bought the buildings from him. And that kind of took us down a different avenue with now we've got a commercial office building and a cute little gas station kind of building that's really nice. And it came with a warehouse, which my wife promptly filled up with stuff. We got into the Airbnb business with a fourplex that I had owned next to Bill's place, and she did all the interior work herself with my help, and she does tile work and stuff. So we fixed them up really to do short-term rentals, and with a bar in the same parking lot, it's kind of a given that you're going to be successful at it because they like staying at a place that they don't have to drive to get dinner and drinks. And but it's been really fun, and it's starting to settle down, and we have less and less issues to deal with, and the income's great, and we've managed to do it without going into debt. So that's been a real plus for us.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a plus. Yeah. Yeah. I know, talking to you over the years about your Airbnbs, that was actually one of the, kind of driving factors, for me to get into my first one. I know you and I had talked about that multiple times, and yeah, I have a small place that I Airbnb and rent to traveling nurses, and um, yeah, man, it works out pretty good. I mean, there's obviously some work and some management to do with that stuff, but um, it's actually pretty low maintenance compared to running an electrical business.
It's it's a little bit more intense in labor at times, but we have more what we call anybody that stays longer than 30 days is called long-term rental. And we have more and more of that. It's kind of going that way because of and I don't understand how this works and don't claim to, but um, mainly traveling nurses, that seems to be the big thing. And we're getting a lot of traveling nurses that are staying we just had one that moved in for a week and then just got a hold of us and wants to extend that for 3 months. So, we're seeing more of that, which is really interesting to me. But they come in, they stay for 3 months, 6 months, leave. We've had interestingly enough, some Asians coming from China that are staying uh, 3 months at a time to work on apple packing equipment. That's another, you know. So all of that agriculture just again, it's just we're just tied right to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That we're gaining income from them needing someone to come in and work on their packing equipment. So
Right on, man. Yeah, that's all good stuff. Um, so So if you could go back to when you opened Bill's Place, um, is there anything that sticks out that you would do different?
Well, I should have if I had if I had known at the time what I know now, which it doesn't seem to me like I've done anything drastic, but I would have done it sooner. I think I waited a number of years to get more of a feel for it before I decided to make a change. And I also feel that the pandemic, the 2020 shutdown, is probably the biggest driving force in making Built what it is today. So I should have done some of that stuff sooner. Just not worried about the because none of the customer base that we had then is what we have now. So,
Yeah.
as prices went up because the quality went up and the service was better and we offered more things, then we became more of a restaurant. We actually sell more food than we do beer or uh, hard liquor now. So that's really quite a interesting development. And I might have done that sooner, but still, it takes a ton of money and a ton of time, and the planning and stuff that goes into it is ridiculous. So
Yeah, absolutely. Would you say from, like, a personal standpoint that, owning your own business and doing these things, these more entrepreneurial things, do you find that stuff more fulfilling than your career that you had previously at Shields?
I I did a lot of really neat things at Shields Bag and Printing in their computer department and their pre-press department, especially. Those are really huge transitional changes that helped that company for a long time. But there is something certainly to be said about stepping back and taking a look at what you have and what you've done and the amount of people that I talk to and listen to and that helped do this makes me really happy to have done what I've done. I love Bill's Place. I think it's a wonderful place to hang out. It's safe. It's not crazy music and except late at night. I know that late at night the music gets a little bit crazy, but it's been fun. And the Airbnb business has been great for us, and you we built that from nothing. So yeah, it's been interesting. It's been fun. It's just taken us. You have to have a regular schedule. You're not sitting at home waiting for something to happen. There's paperwork to do. There's accounting to do. I actually had to hire an accountant, so that's helping us a lot.
So were you doing your own accounting, like, prior?
Up until 6 months ago, I did everything:
Really?
payroll, all the QuickBooks for 3 companies. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah, I hired an accountant from day one. I mean, I do some of the bookkeeping and the day-to-day stuff, but man, I've always had an accountant to kinda help guide me through some of that stuff.
I think the reason I did that end of it is because I was a horrible bartender. I couldn't focus enough on I could not walk to a table and take an order for 4 people.
Yeah.
I without writing it all down, and then I still messed it up. It just wasn't it's not my thing, and I have some most amazing people that could walk to a table, of 4 top or 6 top even, and just take their order and go put it in, and it comes out and it's what they want, and remember who's ordering what drinks. We have customers that come in and sit down, and there's a drink waiting for them by the time they take their coat off, and it's the one,
Yeah.
they get every time they come in. And it's just so I did all the and I know computers really well, so it was easy for me to, do all that, but, oh, man, it's crazy the amount of, receipts that come into that business every
Oh,
day.
yeah, I'm sure. So looking into this year for '26, do you guys have anything new planned for Bills or?
We are, just now starting to put the word out that we're going to sell Bill's Place and the fourplex, which is right next door to it, and that half acre of lot there on Third and Walnut. We want to focus more on some other projects we have going on in the real estate end of things, and we feel like we've accomplished what we set out to do. I think it's time to let someone else enjoy that aspect of running a business like Bill's Place. So
Yeah, absolutely,
we're
man.
putting it on the market.
Yeah. So with that being said, I don't know if you want to get into the nuts and bolts of that, but um, you and I talked briefly about that a couple weeks ago, and you said that you would potentially carry a contract for somebody who wanted to get into
I
that.
think that's almost a given that you're going to do that, especially in the bar business. But I like the idea of having a long term contract on it, at a decent interest rate for the purchaser, and uh, have that income flow that will allow them to jump into it without having to have a massive amount of money already, in cash.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's definitely carrying a contract on it is the way we're going to go.
that's awesome, man. So if there's an aspiring, business owner out there, somebody who knows that industry in and out, like this would be a great opportunity to walk into a turnkey cash flowing business, right?
Yeah, and it's priced to sell. I mean, it's a good deal, and it was when I bought it from Gary. In fact, we did the numbers the other day, and the Airbnb business next door will literally pay the monthly payment on the contract. So the bar then is just free.
Yeah, interesting.
It's a good deal.
Yeah. Um, do you feel like with the current economy and the current, economic situation, do you feel like it might be a little bit of a stretch to get someone into that business right now? I mean, I know everybody's kind of proceeding with caution and everybody's, a little on edge with just everything right now, but do you feel like it might be a challenging time to do this?
I th- I think it's always a challenging time. There's never been a year that I've in fact, working for Shields Bag and Printing, it was always something every year.
Yeah,
In '79, we had an oil embargo. In '83, we had another problem. In '88, there was something. And in 2008, the whole housing market collapsed.
right.
And we've been on a upward trajectory from the day I bought it. And it'll continue to do that as long as you run the business properly and
So
pay attention to those.
yeah, absolutely. So I want to ask you something on a more of a personal level. So, you just talked about, these periods of time where you've seen, economic downturn, the housing market, the oil stuff in the late 70s, early 80s. Like, how do you personally, like, as a professional or an entrepreneur, somebody who's relatively successful person, how do you navigate those things mentally? It's like for me, it's like, I'm reading the news and it's like, man, we're bombing Iran, we're doing this, we're doing that. There's like all this chaos, and it's hard for me sometimes to not be like, man, dude, like shit's not going well right now, like this isn't a good deal. Like how do you navigate some of those things?
It's it's really easy to buy into the hype. News is entertainment. Even Fox News admitted that they're it's mostly entertainment, and they're all competing for your viewing, you know, numbers. And I just look at where we are, and I look at data, and it's hard data. I mean, I can tell you what my sales were yesterday by hour, by person, by what kind of food we sold, and last month how that went, and last 3 months how that went. And I never overreact to those things. It You have to prove it to me with my numbers that this is really impacting my business. And just like if agriculture uh, doesn't can if agriculture continues to decline, I'm not going to worry about that because something else is going to take the place of that.
Yeah.
It's just who we are and what we are. The the valley's doing really well. It's always done really well. It's going to be consistent, and you just have to take it for granted that you know that you should never react to, based on those things. Just look
Abs-
at your numbers.
Absolutely. So I'm glad you use that term. You should know your numbers. I mean, that's something that I couldn't agree more with you as far as running a business. Um, can you speak to that? Like when you say know your numbers, like for somebody who might be an aspiring entrepreneur, like in the simplest form, like what does that mean to you?
I think what happens is when you go into business without knowing anything about it. And I had worked at Shields for a long time, but I'd never worked in their accounting department. So these were things that I had to learn. And you, you see, there's a huge amount of cash flow in a business like Bill's Place. It's a lot of money that goes into several bank accounts. And I mean, literally, I could go down and buy a brand new truck any given time. I could literally walk into a dealership and buy a truck, but most of that money's not my money. And that's the first thing you need to learn when you have a business is that that money that is flowing in is going to flow right back out again, either
Absolutely.
in payroll or in quarterly payroll taxes or in Department of Revenue taxes or income taxes. It's just on and on and on. And so you just have to you really, really have to be disciplined and not spending money. I mean, how many people do you know that started their own uh, trade business? And the next day you see them driving a brand new truck
Happens all the time.
with vinyl on the side and wrapped,
Yeah,
and 2 years later they're broke and their business didn't work out because they, they spent money that wasn't theirs.
100%.
It's in your bank account, but it doesn't belong to you. That if you know that fact right there, you'll be successful in business.
Yeah, it's your money temporarily. You know, it flows in, it flows out, and that is the biggest thing that wrecks guys, man, especially those young blue collar guys that do start a trades company, you know, is um guys like that, like I call them paycheck guys, you know, normal paycheck guys are not used to seeing big swaths of money, right? And so let's say you start your contracting business, it puts along for a few months, you go out, you land a big job, you cash a $50,000 check, right? There is no high like that. When you go from being a paycheck guy to getting some upswing in a business and you cash a big check, it is euphoric, you know. You're not used to seeing that kind of money. And so it's easy to be like, "Oh man, I've always wanted that new truck or I've always wanted this." You go out and you buy it, right? Well, now you're payment poor and you got to pay payroll and you got to pay vendors and you got to pay taxes and you got to pay quarterly taxes and you got to pay payroll taxes. That's how guys get caught up. They go and they spend money that is not theirs.
And it's you can't rest on your laurels, so to speak. The a common phrase that I hear from successful business people is you have to keep feeding the beast.
Yeah,
I mean, you have people that depend on you.
absolutely.
They have families and they're working for you and earning an income to pay rent and or buy a house and a car payment and stuff. And you have a responsibility to make sure that there's payroll money there. I mean, when I started out, I think we were doing uh about 30 to $40,000 a month in total gross revenue, and we're doing that in payroll now.
Yeah.
And it's that that whole group, those 16 people that worked for us, even during the COVID thing, they were our responsibility, and we worked together to make sure that everyone was cool and everyone had toilet paper, and that was a great story. I mean, there was a lot of gleaning that we did
Yeah.
behind the scenes to make sure everyone could survive that thing. But yeah, that you just have to be really, really, really disciplined with the money that's flowing in because it's definitely next week you're gonna I just wrote a check for $10,000 for something, and we've got between you and some all seasonal air conditioning and heating. We invest a lot of money in making these businesses we're building work better. So it's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So what's next for you, man? Like what's the next chapter of your life look like if you want to get into that?
I'm definitely l- looking forward to selling Bill's place and the fourplex next to it to free up some time to do other things. I think we want to do some more real estate projects. I just I don't have an urge to go like travel the world or anything like that. I want to spend more time with my kids and my grandkids, and this will definitely free that portion of it up.
Yeah.
We're soccer fans, so we want to hang out in Seattle quite a bit more to take advantage of the great sports teams that we have over there. So that's in my future.
That's in your future. Just kind of slow down a little bit,
Yep.
but still do some real estate stuff. Still kind of keep your, kind of keep that fire burning a little bit.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna push it as hard as we can.
Right on, man. That's exciting stuff. I'm sure everything's going to work out just fine for you guys. Um, the last thing I have for you, man, is like in your journey, to becoming a business owner, and just a successful, person, like what does that take to really win at a high level? Like, to get into some real estate, to buy a business, to have, employees, to be that kind of person that is doing the things that you've done. Like what would you tell listeners that is one of the pivotal things that it takes?
Well, this probably isn't going to be a popular opinion, but it when when we were young and my wife and I, she got pregnant. We had been married for 2 or 3 years at that point. We both had good jobs, uh, and we wanted a house. And you make sacrifices to do that. We weren't stopping at the coffee stand every day and buying a latte. We weren't going to the tavern and having a beer. We weren't we weren't even drinking a lot of things in those days just because we couldn't afford it. We paid the mortgage payment, the power bill, the phone bill, and bought food, and there wasn't anything left after that. And e- I I truly believe this generation is the last couple. They don't have the ability to to manage their money as well as we had to. We had to just to survive. Um, and the trick to it is if you're buying a latte every day and you're only spending $6, $8 on a latte, it's not a big deal. But you need to understand the concept of annualizing your cost. If you buy something for your business, and that's only $100 a week. It's $5,200 a year.
Absolutely.
5,200, and a $6 latte is almost $2,000 a year. 2 grand. And if you quit buying lattes in 3 years, you'd have a down payment for a house.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a very nice house. But I bought a shack. We bought an 800 square foot shack, and now it's 2,600 square feet with a big 2-car garage. And
Yeah.
and you and you just do those things, but you have to take those steps. And the first step is to get on a budget and stick to it religiously without any fail. Just like your life depends on it, and it does.
Yeah.
It, budget your money and quit going out all the time. I mean, I know people that don't they're just they don't have the income. I know a single mother with a beautiful daughter who uses DoorDash,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. We were eating macaroni and cheese 3 nights a week, and I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like people could definitely be more disciplined with their finances to help themselves get into a better situation, if you will.
And to be honest, when we started out, there there wasn't a coffee stand on every corner. Uh, there were only a few of those restaurants that you do takeout from, but we never went out to eat. My wife was a great cook. I could cook. We both cooked. We both did everything, and we didn't buy new cars. Everyone's got to drive a new Honda or something these days, and I still don't buy new cars. I've bought one new car in my entire life, and the only reason I did that is because my wife wanted it. So, but we just don't do that. I mean, you're wasting so much money that you could be using more effectively in your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's good advice, man. Before we wrap up, you have anything for me?
I just want to say that I appreciate the fact that you show up when you say you're going to show up. Your team is they take so much pride in what they do, and it's just little things. You pay a lot of money to have a plumber and an electrician to come on site and do
Yeah.
stuff. It is expensive, but it should be a quality job,
Yeah.
and I'll pay for the quality job. But if I don't get that, then that kind of irritates me. And your guys have never disappointed me. That's great working with someone who not only uh, listens to what I want, but then tells me what I need.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I don't think it's ever been the same between those two. You've always said, "Oh no, let's do it like this because this will be easier for you and
Yeah.
better and less money." And
Yeah, I'm always trying to do what's best for my customers, and sometimes that ends up being more expensive for them, but I like to at least give people all the information. And the quality on the install is something that has always been a non-negotiable for me. And so yeah, man, we try our best, and we try our best to have repeat customers like you, and that's kind of our main goal, is just to give our customers an exceptional experience.
we do that too with when we're redoing the interior of a building. We try and do it right the first time. We bring in the people we need to bring in. We talk about the different things that need to be done, and we try and do it right so we don't have to do it again later because you're going to end up spending more money that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, to wrap up the show, let's get the word out there that Bill's Place is officially for sale. You guys can reach Doug. You swing by the bar and chat him up about it. Make sure you let a friend know. And if you found value here on this episode, give us a like, give us a share. This is Josh with Wired Wattsmart. Man, that was